Hare Krishna everyone. Hope you had a lovely day. Welcome to Soma Vedic Astrology channel. Today we will discuss about the 10th house of a birth chart in Vedic astrology. The 10th house is the house of your karmas and hence it is also called as the Karam Bhava. Let us see what all things can we see from the 10th house. But before moving on to that, I hope you must have understood that 10th house is a very practical house. It deals with, work. Okay, everything about work and karmas, the karmas that you do, it is not only just the work in your profession, but rather the overall karmas that you are going to perform in this lifetime. Now let us see the things that we can see from the 10th house. The first thing is what kind of work or karmas you will do, whether you will do good work or bad work. Bad work means literally harming somebody, or good work means focusing on the upliftment of the people. There are four kind of karmas which is defined in the scriptures. The first is sanchit karmas, the karmas which you have accumulated from the past many lives. Okay, the second one is prarabdha karma. Okay, it is a certain part or a segment of the sanchit karma which needs to be burned in this current lifetime. Okay, the third one is kriyamana karma. These are the actual karmas which you are actually performing in this current birth. And then the final one, which is agami karma. Okay, so in case if you don't achieve the moksha or liberation in this lifetime, then you are going to get a next birth, next form, human form. So during that time, the karmas which you will carry out in that next birth is called as the agami karma. The next thing that we see is the profession. Okay, it can be any type of profession or any type of karma, because 10th house is a generic house of career. So it can show any form of work that you are doing. It can be a business, it can be job, it can be work associated with the creative abilities. If it is connected with the fifth house, it can show work associated with your communication and writing. If it is connected to the third house, it can show civic duty. It can also show the home chores. Okay, and most importantly, 10th house shows work which is specially done in a form of a hierarchical setup, where you start from the very bottom in the ladder, and then as and when the time pass, and as and when you get experiences of the work, okay, practical experience, and then you step up into that ladder. So going from the most lowest stair to going to the top of this hierarchical setup, this hierarchical type of setup is seen from the 10th house. The third thing that we can see is the intent of your work. Okay, whether you work with good intentions or not, whether you want to be a rule breaker or you want to create rules, whether your intent is to harm somebody or to help somebody. So this intent of work can also be seen from the 10th house. The next thing that we see is the success or the failure that you get in career, whether you will be able to reach the top of that hierarchical setup, and whether you will reach that leadership position or not, or whether you will be in somewhere in between, where you are being assigned some tasks to perform. Okay, whether you will be a decision maker or not. And in general, it also shows the promotions, the bonuses, all those things, promotions in the same job, or by switching jobs. So the success in the career is seen from the 10th house. The next thing, which we can see from the 10th house is your dedication towards your work. Okay, whether you're ambitious or not, whether you're hardworking or not, what is your nature or attitude towards your work, whether you approach your work in a disciplinary approach, or you are more casual, or you are a smart worker or a hard worker. Okay, what is the nature of or attitude of you towards your work can be also seen from the 10th house. The next thing that we see is the reputation, the name and fame that you get, okay, due to your work. Okay, as we know that there is only a little segment of person who gets reputation due to their famous fathers or mothers, but most of the people who are kind of self-made people, they are purely getting their reputation, name and fame purely through their lot of hard work that they have put throughout their years. So that is the reason 10th house shows the reputation, that whether you will get name and fame via the work that you are doing or not. Okay, whether the work that you are doing is liked by the public or not. So all these things can be seen. The next thing that we see is the impact of your work or karmas on the society, whether your work has a bigger impact on the society or not. The next thing that we see is changes in career, or job losses, job gains, switches, all career related things can be seen. The next thing that we see is the position of power. Okay, decision makers, authoritative people, okay, who have the power to decide the fate of others. Okay, this position of powers can also be seen from the 10th house. The 10th house also shows the sky and the heaven. Now let us see the people associated with the 10th house. So they are the lead, in general, the leadership people, royalties, people with power and authority, people high at the, posited high at the government posts, and we can also see mother-in-law from the 10th house. Now let us see the places associated with the 10th house. So any type of a hierarchical place or hierarchical setup, religious shrines, okay, townships, councils, places where discipline is instilled either in in general people or general public society, or in your future workforce of a company. Okay, and we can also see houses which are next to the road, even that can be considered as a place which we can see from the 10th house. Now let us see the career related to the 10th house. So as we discussed, 10th house is the house of career. Now which exact career is suitable for you, for that we need to see the connection of 10th house with the other houses. For example, 10th house connected to the second house, you can work related to food or finance. Okay, 10th house related to sixth house, you can work in either in healing, or let's say as a lawyer. So basically we need to see the connection of 10th house with all the any of the house, it will be connected. So based on that we can understand the actual career which is suitable for you. But if I have to discuss it in a very generic sense, that what careers we can see solely from the 10th house, then it can be all sorts of career where people are working in a kind of a hierarchical setup. Okay, maybe corporate, where there is a defined hierarchical setup, where you are starting from the scratch, from the junior most position, and slowly getting promotions, and reaching to the top ladder. Then we can see work in government jobs or social institutions, work in the field of making laws or and regulations, or setting up the systems and processes and orders. then judges, admin departments, politics, because politics, IAS, IPS, because these are the departments where people have the position of power or are, authoritative people. Then working as a, let's say, a boss or a leader or a powerful person or a CEO in any field. Okay, which field? For that we need to see the connection. Then let's say, ministers, working in any disciplinary organization. So all these are the careers which we can see from the 10th house. Now let us see which body parts are associated with the 10th house. So that is your knees, thighs, back of the body. Now let us see the relation of the 10th house with the other houses. 10th house is second from the ninth house. Second house is the house of accumulated wealth, and ninth house is the house of your father. So second from ninth shows the accumulated wealth of your father. 10th house is third from the 8th house. So, third house is the house of courage, your efforts, your risk taking ability, and eighth house is the house of in laws. So, third from eighth shows the efforts that your in laws put, okay, the risk taking ability, the courage that your in laws has. 10th house is fourth from the 7th house. Fourth house is the house of comforts, material okay, comforts, luxuries, okay, material things, home, real estate, happiness, primary education. And seventh house is the house of your spouse, okay, your legal partner. So fourth from seventh shows, all the material comforts, the luxuries, the happiness, real estate, cars of your spouse, the primary education of your spouse. Fourth from seventh also shows your mother-in-law, because fourth house is the house of mother and seventh house is the house of spouse. So spouse's mother, which is your mother-in-law. 10th house is fifth from the sixth house. Fifth house is the house of past life blessings, Purva Punya, and sixth house is the house of maternal uncle. So, fifth from sixth shows the past life blessings of your maternal uncle. 10th house is sixth from the fifth house. Fifth house is the house of children, especially your first child. And sixth house is the house of deaths, diseases, enemies. It is a Dushtana Sthan. So, sixth from fifth shows the deaths of your first child, the diseases that your first child can get, the enemies of your first child. 10th house is seventh from the fourth house. Fourth house is, it shows your private life. It shows the your private life between the four walls of your home. Now, seven places away, it always shows, the opposite of that house. Okay, so what is opposite of a private life? It is a public life. Fourth house is a life of, within the four walls of your home. So 10th house, which is opposite to the fourth house, it shows your public life, which is, between your co-workers, your bosses, your colleagues, in a work environment kind of a setup. 10th house is 8th from the third house. 8th house is the house of transformative events, sudden events, and third house is the house of younger siblings. So 8th from third shows the transformative events in the life of younger siblings, the sudden gains or losses in the life of your younger siblings. 10th house is ninth from the second house. Second house is the house of your immediate family, and ninth house is the house of religious beliefs, morals, gurus, luck and fortune. So ninth from the second shows the luck and fortune of your immediate family, the morals, the ethics, the principles that your family follows right from the beginning, the religious beliefs, the gurus of your family. 10th house is 11th from the 12th house. 11th house is the house of gains, and 12th house is the house of spiritual pursuits. So 11th from the 12th shows how you are gaining in your work area or motivation to do, certain good karmas or good work. Okay, how you are going to get this motivation by following, the spiritual pursuits and life. 10th house is 12th from the 11th house. 11th house is the house of friends, elder siblings. 11th house also shows incomes, profits, gains. So 12th house is the house of expenses, losses. So 12th from 11th shows, loss of income or loss to your friends or losses to your elder siblings. Now let us see some terminologies which is attached to the 10th house. The first terminology is the Kendra. Okay, so house number 1, 4, 7 and 10 are called as the Kendra houses. These Kendra houses shows, okay, the four main pillars of anyone's life, that is yourself, your spouse, your career and your happiness. So Kendra houses are the houses of Lord Vishnu, and these houses blesses a person with good health, wealth and wisdom. Fourth is more auspicious than the first house. Seventh house is more auspicious than the fourth house. 10th house is more auspicious than the seventh house. The next terminology which is attached to the 10th house is called as the Uphachaya house. House number 3, 6, 10, and 11 are called as the Uphachaya house. So 10th house is the third Uphachaya house. Now what is the meaning of Uphachaya? So it simply means that initially there will be, challenges that you need to face with respect to that house, but upachya means growth, which means that as and when a person gets older in age, and as and when a person becomes more experienced, a person is better equipped to deal with the challenges, which comes to that person. Okay, person gets matured and is able to handle the difficult circumstances, because that person has already seen the bad time, okay, in previously, so he is able to manage the situation. So that is the reason the results of the upachya houses always improve with time. Now with respect to the 10th house, what will you consider as a, upachya? So we have already discussed the 10th house, shows a hierarchical setup where, in the initial stage of your life, you are starting from, being, let's say, a very junior employee, and as and when you attain experience and you grow older in life, then you move towards the position of seniority. So this is the concept of upachya. Each house has a purushartha attached to it out of the four, which is dharma, artha, kama or moksha. So house number 2, 6 and 10, is part of the Artha Trikon. Okay, all these three houses relates to the material, well-being of a person. It is related to the prosperity, wealth, material success, name and fame, recognition. Okay, all these things by doing, an effort or hard work, and by overcoming the obstacles that is coming to into your life. I hope you guys must have liked the video. Please do not forget to subscribe the channel. Also, please do let me know in the comment section below what more videos would you like to see. Thank you.